Missed any of our conversations? Let's catch you up on YouTube Repeat. Subscribe and stay updated. We are Radio 537.
My name is Mpumi Khumalo, and as you said, I am a PR practitioner. I am a women's activist, and I'm a speaker. I really do believe that I've been called to do three things, and that is to enrich, enlighten, and I also really do believe that I have been called to empower women. Yeah, and that's basically who I am in a nutshell.
Exactly. And not only are you called to, but you actually go on and do those things, and it also shows just in the work that you do and the work that you're involved in also. It's just so beautiful to see. And before we get into that, I'd like to play you a song, and I'd like to hear from you. What song would you like me to play you, so that after the musical break we can get into our conversation? Okay.
Sure. Wow. Okay, that's awesome. So I can pick any song?
You can pick any song. And then the only catch is that when we come back from the song, you get to tell me why that song and what it means to you. So just any song, one song.
My Power by Beyonce.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just after the break, guys, we will be having that conversation and continuing to be talking to Mpumi Khumalo. She's already on the air, and I do wish that you guys can engage with us on 063-698-7566. Just to repeat that for you, it's 063-698-7566. So we will be taking your messages, we will be taking your voice notes via SMS, via WhatsApp, and if you are sending us a VN, make sure that your VN is just 1 minute, or just a little bit under a minute, so that you can be able to engage on the conversation, because we are going to be touching on so many important things. And if you have your views, your comments, or questions for Mpumi, then you are free to do so on that number. Just enjoy the music, and when we come back, we'll continue.
Favorite afternoon drive show, Eminence with V, your piece of rising ground.
Wow, man, taking us to 11 minutes after 4 o'clock. Mpumi, that's a beautiful song.
It is. I absolutely love it. Absolutely.
What does it mean to you?
Sure. So firstly, I mean, this is Beyonce, and I love Beyonce, but she also features Moonchild, Sanali, Bosiswa, Tara Wack, Yemi Alade, and Niger Charles. And it speaks about, for me, it's about collaboration, different women coming together and collaborating. And there's nothing more powerful than when women gather.
Exactly.
So I love it. I love the part that says, they'll never take my power. And that's the one thing that I always preach to women, that they can never take your power no matter what.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. And it's just one of those songs, actually, Nyani, when you listen to them, you can't help but just be empowered, as a woman listening to such music. And we really need more of that. Welcome to the show, Mpumi. Welcome, and thank you so much for coming through. But one of the most interesting things that you've said when you are introducing yourself, you clearly stated what you believe it is that you're called to do. And I think for me that's rare, because I think that for most of us it's very difficult to actually be able to narrow down our purpose into a phrase. But also, not only that, but even for me, with the work that you do, I'm interested to understanding and being established in your identity in that way, and actually not only ending there, but also moving into the practicality of actually being that empowerment, and actually being that light, and actually being the woman that you are. How do you start? How did you start? And how did you translate that into the practical things that you do and we see you do now?
Sure. That is quite a loaded question, but how I started, basically, when I say that I believe that I've been called to enlighten, empower, and enrich, that really takes me back to growing up. While growing up, I was about 8 years old, and my mother was pregnant, and she gave birth to this beautiful baby girl. Her name was Nolwazi. She was my younger sister, and just her being born made me, it shook things up for me. Firstly, I was a bit jealous. that she had come and taken, my mother's heart away from me. But as I got older, I got to understand that I'm supposed to take care of her. I got to understand that I'm supposed to look out for her. And as she grew older, I then realized that I can't just be responsible for her only. I have to now be responsible for, her friends. Are her friends okay? Are her peers okay? And I guess that's when I discovered that I have been called to empower. It started with my little sister, and then fast forward to her death. She passed away last year. She was only 18 years old. And I always say that the death of my sister really opened my eyes, because when I think about it, I believe that I have also been called to enlighten. That stems from my sister. The moment that she passed on, my eyes were suddenly opened, and I realized that we really are living on borrowed time, and we need to find out what we're here to do, and we need to start doing it. And then when I say that, I believe that I have been called to enrich. Again, going back to my sister, now that I look back on her life, I see how much she enriched us as a family. I now realize, the role that she played. She made every day special. She used to love dressing up, doing her makeup, and all of these wonderful things. And I never really understood until, she passed away. She made sure that we felt the weight of her presence. She made sure that she put a smile on everyone's face. And then I realized that that is also what I'm meant to do, to enrich people, to make sure that when I enter into spaces, I don't leave those spaces as they are. As soon as I walk into a room, whether it's in a corporate setting or within the media industry, for the fact that I am there, I need to make a change. So that's how I came to sum up these 3 things that I believe I've been called to do. It's been a journey, 18 years of discovering my purpose.
That is beautiful. I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of your sister. But, just to hear you talk about it, and also, just some of the principles that you learned from that grief and that brokenness. But not only, that, but to be able, to take, those principles and to be able to understand what they mean for you and actually actively apply that in your life. I think that is absolutely beautiful. And I believe that, it's the epitome of healing for us to be able to go to break and also allow ourselves to break. But not only that, but be able, to pick up principles from that we can actually carry on and align, into our life. And I think that, that is just, an amazing strength on your side. But people can be hearing me talking about the work you do, but I'd like you to also get into it a little bit, about just, how you actually, have just positioned yourself, in business as an entrepreneur, given even the experience that you're talking about and some probably other things that you've been through as a woman in discovering yourself. And just talk a little bit about, the positioning process for you and the work that you do as an entrepreneur.
Sure. So this is where I'll start. I studied public relations, and the initial idea was actually to study journalism. And the reason why I wanted to study journalism was because while growing up, my dad had this beautiful thing that he would do for my mom, and that would be to buy her, a chocolate and a magazine. And I remember I would pick up, the chocolate and be excited about the chocolate. But as I grew older, I suddenly now, wanted to read more about this magazine. This was a True Love magazine, and Kani Somo was the editor at the time. So now just a little backstory. I come from the city of Emalahleni, literally the place of coal, and all we're surrounded by is coal. But once I picked up that magazine, I got to see other career fields. I got to see women, that were doing, other things. I was exposed to media. I was exposed to different types of professions. And that is the reason why then I chose to go into the media space, wanting to be a journalist. And as soon as I went to apply at varsity, I met a lady. Her name was Her name is Audrey Human. She advised me to study public relations rather than studying journalism, and I took her word for it. She became my lecturer. And she taught me so many things. And that's how I got into the PR space. And after graduating, obviously, like everyone else, I struggled to find a job.
Yeah.
So I had to then work in retail. And for me, that is one of my career highlights, actually. A lot of people like saying, I worked with this brand and I did
Yeah,
this and I did
exactly.
that. But for me, working in retail was the highlight of my career. And the reason why I say this is because I had to work in retail, and I learned the importance of discipline. Retail forces you to be very disciplined. You have to stand from 8 a.m. up until 8 p.m.
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
You need to show humility when someone walks into the space. You need to greet them. You realize that
Even
customer
when your
is
day is
king.
not going that great, but you have
Yes,
to maintain.
yes, definitely. Even when your day is not going great, you still have to greet people with a smile. You still have to show up. You still have deadlines that you need to meet. You have a certain target that you need to reach. So retail was my introduction into the workplace, and retail is the reason why I've been able to work with so many wonderful brands. It taught me discipline. It taught me hard work. It taught me commitment. And I'd really attribute the successes that I have had thus far to my experience in retail. I don't know
And
if that answers.
that does it. I'm just, picking up also, as you're speaking, that how we as young people, especially, when we've graduated and we're trying to find our feet, but like we'd always want, because of, I think most of us have always imagined that after graduating you'll probably work at a nice public relations agency, and just have it, all together. But sometimes we neglect that phase where we actually have to, take what we can, not realizing that sometimes, God strategically puts us in those situations so that we can learn certain things. I mean, look at your story, how, you learned discipline and commitment, in that space and in that area. And I think this is deeply rooted, in the fact that, as young people, both women, and males, we are just we just live in a time where it's almost as if everything should come out of instant gratification. It's almost as
Yeah.
if, we don't know that much about perseverance. We don't know that much about, putting in, the work that is necessary in order for us, to get to where we want to go. We actually just have, some kind of mindset that kind of just, puts us back and holds us back in from becoming who we're meant to be. Can you speak a little bit about that? What is your take on that?
Sure, I definitely do agree with you. I do agree that we are living in a time where we don't necessarily appreciate hard work. Obviously because we have social media, for instance. We have your YouTube, and this is no shade to content creators, because I'm also a content creator myself, so I understand the work that goes into it. But we've seen so many YouTube sensations,
Yeah.
things happening overnight for people that we forget the importance of hard work. We forget that you're nothing without hard work. So I
Exactly.
definitely do agree with you on that point. And really my hope is that young people will understand that it's okay. It really is okay if you have this degree. You have this degree, but you're not getting a job. Go out there, get into retail, get into these little odd jobs, because you
Yeah.
really do learn a thing or two. I think that what limits us sometimes is the fact that I have a degree, therefore I can never. It could never be me. How can I work in a place like that? How can I do
Exactly.
that?
Exactly.
So we feel a bit entitled, and we feel that our qualifications automatically mean that, you know, we can have these wonderful positions. We will have these wonderful positions. We will work in corporate. We will, you know, work in all of the spaces that we want to. But don't be afraid to, you know, start from point zero to working your way up. Your
Absolutely.
qualification, yes, may get you an interview, but ultimately it is your hard work, it is your perseverance, you know, that will take you far.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. Bumi, I just have a few messages coming through for you, and I just want to read the messages so that we can take a song break. But after the song break, we are going to continue with our conversation. And the first one is, wow, what a story by Mpumi. So touching and motivating as well. And that is, you know, from Mr. X. And another one says, we must not forget hard work. I felt that. Great show, V. Of course, we do have one more, and that is from Mutebocho Ramet. That's if I'm saying it right. It's a huge fan of Mpumi Khumalo. What a dynamic woman. Her work ethic is incredible, and her heart, I am in awe. And this interview available as a podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for your messages. We really appreciate them a lot. Yes, guys, the interview is going to be available as a podcast. Just go on to subscribe on our YouTube channel on Radio 537, and you can be able to catch Mpumi on that interview. So we're going to take a song break, Mpumi, and then when we come back, we're going to continue with our conversation. Stay on the line, okay?
Okay, will do. Thank you for the comments, guys.
Yeah.
Are you tuned in right now? Let us know by sending us a message or voice notes to 063 698 7566.
Welcome back to Radio 537. That was Justin Bieber, the beautiful song, Eti Love Yourself. And the number for you to be able to interact with us is 063 698 7566. Just to repeat that for you guys, it's 063 698 7566. And if you've just joined us, welcome to Radio 537. I am your host, Violeto Sabani. Welcome to Eminence. And that is the name of the show, your piece of rising ground. I am so honored today to be in conversation with Mpumi Khumalo, a PR practitioner, a woman's activist, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, man. Thank you so much, Mpumi, for coming through. Are you still on the line?
I'm still here. Thank you so much, Rio, for having me. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful voice, by the way.
What? Look who's talking, though. Look who's talking. I'm literally thinking the same thing of you the whole time. Thank you so much for saying that. You have a beautiful voice also, and you're very articulate and well-spoken. You know, I'm so grateful for you, and, you know, just, you know, on everything that you've touched on already, you actually blowing up our WhatsApp and, you know, people are just appreciating and so grateful for you. I just want, you know, you to talk a little bit about, you know, who is woman. Because when I looked up some of your work on Instagram, I saw that, you know, there's also this beautiful organization that you're a co-founder of. Can you speak a little bit about the work that you do there?
Oh my goodness, you just had me smiling. That is sure. Who is Women is very close to my heart. We started it, or rather, we founded it. My partner and I, Hlengwe Mugele, in 2018, and this really stemmed from our frustrations. We're feeling frustrated. I had just left corporate at the time. And she was about to leave her job within the mining sector. And we were really tired of how women were being treated, how our voices weren't being heard. And we decided to form this organization. And we literally sat one afternoon and we were like, so what's the name? What's the name of this? What are we going to do? And we both uttered, who is woman? And basically we started off with one event, and with this event we literally had women from different fields, you know, just letting us in on information. Because also, Vuyo, another thing that we tend to do is that when, you know, we get to a certain point in our lives, we don't share information, and I hate that. I hate that so much. We don't share
That's
information.
true.
We don't empower one another.
Mm.
So we started off with that one event and it was amazing.
Wow.
And then we went on to the next one and the next one.
Wow.
And
Wow.
now we have, a magazine that is run by
Mm.
women. We
Mm.
just started off. We have our second issue out now.
Mm.
And It's really been about empowering one another. It's been about
Mm.
sharing information. It's been about collaborating
Mm.
and networking, as women, because we need to do that more often.
Mpumi, I want to say something. That is
Sure.
beautiful, first of all. But what I'm also picking up, is that the importance for me, with us networking amongst each other as women and collaborating is that, it I think it's a result of an inner work that we need to do in order for us
Mm,
to be able to be in that position whereby we are so we are so free to give what we have. We are so free to just give the best of ourselves to everything that we do. And I I do know that there's so many women listening right now, and we struggle in relationships. We
mm,
struggle, with relationships amongst each other as females. We struggle with those collaborations. We struggle, just to be able, to share ideas, to come together. And I love, that you speak about this, and it's so evident, in the work that you guys do, that it's not just, something that is merely done, just for the passing, but it's actually something that, is well considered and planned out and put out. Everything that you guys do in that organization, speaks, to the things that you just mentioned now. Can you just speak about that importance of inner work in us as women, in order for us to be fruitful in that way?
Oh, Vuyo, I'm so glad that you touched on that. I'm so glad,
Mm,
because it's so important. It's so important to prioritize yourself, to work on yourself.
mm,
It is so important because everything else flows from that. I
mm-hmm,
cannot be, the Mpumi that I am to you
mm-hmm,
if I don't take time, off to myself and to actually
mm,
work on myself. And
mm,
self-care Sundays is
mm.
a thing right now,
It's
but honestly,
important.
are we really doing the internal work? Are we
Mm,
really sitting down with ourselves, asking ourselves, Uguti, why when Vuyo comes into a room, why am I intimidated by her?
mm,
What
mm,
is it in
mm,
me that I feel that I lack,
mm,
whenever I see Vuyo? And how
mm,
can I improve myself? How can I work on my weaknesses and turn them into strengths? You
mm,
can never seek to empower, and to enrich and to enlighten people, if you don't do that internal
mm,
work. So
mm,
it really is important for us to work on ourselves, to
mm,
understand who we are before we go out into the world. Because
mm,
also, if we don't do that, the world will constantly tell us who we are, and we will fall into that trap.
mm.
Um, a lot of work, personally, that I do, stems from the internal work that I have had to do. If you
Exactly.
want to be impactful, if you want to make a difference, it needs to start at home. It needs to start
Mm,
within, it needs to
mm,
start with
mm,
you.
mm. Wow. Very, very beautiful. Very well said. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I'm just so glad, that, we're having this conversation because, we're nearing the end of Women's Month, but, I keep on echoing to people that regardless of that, but we also need, to just remain in the commitment of actually,
Mm,
understanding, and learning and unlearning, perceptions around the definition of woman in our time.
mm,
Because I think that, with the issues that we face as females, whether, we're facing, challenges in boardrooms, whether we're facing challenges walking in the street, the people howling at you, whether it's on social media, the things that are posted, that are detrimental to women, I think that, all of these things, have to do with how, how people, just have, a certain perception of females. And I just wanted you to speak a little bit about, what do you think, is the individual role for us to play in this situation, because we have to, like, we can't shy away from the fact that everything else that is happening around us and the issues that we're facing, they are very serious, because people are dying, people are losing their lives, people are losing their loved ones. But now you get to that point where you ask yourself, what can I do?
Sure. You do get to that point. You do ask yourself, what can I do? And Vuyo, I really had to scale it down. I want to help people. My aim is always to make things better for the people that are around me. But I had an aha moment. God spoke to me about it, and God said to me that all you need to do is make sure that you impact the next person's lives positively. I don't need to help 1,000 people at a go. I can help one Vuyo, and Vuyo can impact thousands and thousands. So I think that if we look at it from that aspect, from that perspective, will be far more effective. It's impossible, for most of us to reach 1,000 people, but you can always reach that one. You can always make a difference in that one person's life, and you don't know how far that seed that you would have planted could possibly go. So sometimes changing the world, it's not about reaching the masses at a go. Sometimes it's about changing one life at a time. What can I do now with what I have right now? If we start looking at it from that perspective, I promise you, we will definitely find so many solutions to the current crises that we're facing.
So you're basically saying, one, you can play your part by just playing your part.
Playing your part.
Yeah, you can play your part by just playing your part, just being in line with your purpose and making sure that you steward over the responsibilities that you have, that God has given you, and how you were placed on this earth to be impactful. That is beautiful, and just before we let you go, I want you, to even come through and speak a little bit of, the challenges that you faced, with the work that you do. What are some of the challenges that you faced first as a female in the communications industry? Because, I was talking to another friend of mine about this. He was saying that, sometimes you always feel like, the industry is so saturated already, because it's not one of those things that you can easily stand out in, because there's so many people now that are actually catching on, to the communication space. But what has been your challenge, and what have been your challenges, for your growth and just your own positioning in that space?
I've gone through so many challenges, but I'll just probably highlight one or two. And the first one is that, obviously, I have worked in corporate all the way into the media industry. And if there's one thing that all of these spaces have in common, is that women's voices are not taken seriously. We're not taken seriously, and for me, that has always been a problem. And I realized that it's important for me to walk away from situations, or rather environments, rooms that aren't serving me. Sometimes it's important to just walk away. To walk away. Don't try to negotiate your worth. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is to walk away. If your voice is not being heard, if you constantly are feeling ostracized, if you constantly feel like you are being stripped, it's important for you to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. And I trust me when I say that, the doors that are meant to open for you will open. And another thing that I really struggled with was when I am assertive, it's almost as if a woman is not supposed to be assertive. If she's assertive, she's a bitch.
Exactly.
It's almost
rude.
As if I can't. A woman can't expect excellence, from the people that she works with. As soon as she expects excellence, it's a problem. A man can expect excellence, You know, I can expect you as a man, you know, if I'm a man, Vuyo, I can expect you to, you know, deliver on time, communicate effectively. But once I start doing that as a woman, it then becomes a problem. I am suddenly a bitch because I expect excellence and I know how to be assertive. So those have been the biggest things for me in my career.
And I think that, you know, that is the challenge of every other woman, you know, especially in the spaces where, you know, the industry is male dominated. I think, you know, it's a common struggle, you know, for all of us. But I think, you know, it's so beautiful, you know, how you actually, you know, actually give, you know, an idea as to how, you know, you can actually navigate through that, because you speak a lot about, you know, avoiding those toxic situations and avoiding spaces where you'd actually, you know, have to find yourself debating your worth. And, you know, we're just gonna take one more song, Mpumi, and then when we come back, we're gonna close it off. But I want you to have in mind something that, you know, that I think is also important, you know, that we always speak about on platforms, about women in leadership, you know, but, you know, I'd like you to speak about it, you know, in the sense of conviction, you know, just the importance of conviction in leadership as a woman, and just the importance, you know, of our spirituality and how that anchors us. But like, I'm gonna take one more song. I'm gonna play you a beautiful song. It's Call It What You Want by Ramo Gold. And when we come back, Mpumi and I are gonna be closing it off. So this is now 41 minutes after 4 o'clock. Make sure that you stay tuned and you don't leave us. Radio 537.
Are you tuned in right now? Let us know by sending us a message or voice note to 063 698 7566.
44 minutes after 4 o'clock. That is Ramo Gold with the beautiful song Iti Call It What You Want, man. One of my faves currently. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. If you've just joined us, you are listening to Radio 537. The name of the show is Eminence. It is your piece of rising ground. And wow, man, am I having an awesome conversation with the lady joining me today. Her name is Mpumi Khumalo, and she is still on the line. Mpumi?
Hey, Vuyo, that is such a beautiful song.
I know, right?
Oh my goodness. It's beautiful.
Absolutely, man. It's a beautiful song, and it's just one of those that's on my playlist lately.
Sure. I love it. It's going to be on my playlist.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mpumi. I'm so appreciative of you and having you on the show. And, you know, but like, we don't have a lot of time left. So I just want us, you know, to wrap it up, and also just make sure that, you know, even anyone who is tuning in and listening today can take away, you know, some importance to the conversation. So I want you to speak a little bit about, you know, this issue of leadership, and this issue of, you know, just leading with conviction. You know, can you speak a little bit about that, and how, you know, your spirituality helps you navigate your career and every other area of your life?
My spirituality, Vuyo, is everything to me. It is absolutely everything. I think that if I was not a spiritual person, someone that believed in a greater power, someone that believed in God, I don't think that I would have been able to, you know, overcome all of the things that I have overcome. I don't think that I would have also been, you know, been able to stay humble, and, you know, to be able to interact, you know, with certain people. I attribute my spirituality, my relationship with God, you know, to literally everything. And I really do believe that when it comes to leadership, you cannot lead without God. You know, you cannot lead without God. I love what you're saying about being convicted. It's important, you know, to have conviction about every single thing that you do, because I promise you, there will be trials and tribulations. You know, you will have moments in your life where your career is not going the way that you wanted to. You will have moments in your life, you know, where you don't have money, when things suddenly stop. and it is your conviction, it is your belief in God, that will sustain you. It is your belief in a power that is greater than you that will sustain you. And going back to leadership, in order for you to lead effectively, you honestly, you need to have, someone or something that you submit to, something that is higher than you. And for me, that is my relationship with Christ.
Wow. Mpumi, you are an amazing person. You are awesome. And I'm so glad, that we got to have this conversation. It is literally, it's going to be one of the highlights for me, for this month's theme of, just celebrating women and just, spending time and looking into just the meaning, of the concept of woman. And I just want you, before I let you go, to just closing off, but just speak about, what kind of societal impact, Mpumi, are you trying, to bring to fruition with all the work that you do, with all the, whether it is, in the PR space, whether it's, through your organization, what is the overall message for you, to people about the work that you do, and just, the energy that you have, and also just how you actually go about with everything that you do. What is it that you're trying, to do?
Two things that I'm trying to do. So when it comes to social impact, the many companies that I've worked with and the organizations that I also lead, we give back in many ways. We're constantly trying to empower young people, if not young people, young women. So that's how I try my best to make a social impact. I'm always trying to rope in, young people and women. And then on a personal level, the last part that you said, what am I trying to do? It's two things that I'm trying to do for you. I am trying to make people realize the importance of finding their voices. I want people to understand the power that they carry. I want people to understand, the importance of the voices that they carry. PR, marketing, all of these mediums, exist because, of voices, because of different voices. So I constantly try to, get that across, that your voice is important, your voice matters. And then number two, what I truly believe is that your authenticity is your activism. Your authenticity is your activism. Once you understand who you are, once you understand why you were born, why you were created, it becomes so much easier for you to affect everyone and everything else that you come across.
Wow. Mpumi, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, I have to let you go because of our time. But if it was all on me, I'd have you out here talking for the next hour or so, because I'm learning so much, and I'm also I imagine that even anyone who's listening to you at home is learning just as much as I am. And just to finally close it off, please just tell people where they can reach you. Tell people about your final words, and then we can just wrap it up.
Well, my final words would really be, Vuyo, thank you so much for inviting me onto this platform. This is so exciting. And I am really looking forward to more of, your growth as a station and you as an individual. Another thing that I'd also like to say is that thank you so much for being patient with me. Thank you for that. And another thing, you said that I should share my socials. So people can find me at Mpumi _Khumalo with 2 L's on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's Mpumi Khumalo. And those are the platforms where I'm mostly active. That's that. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, man, thank you so much. Like I said, for me it's going to be the highlight, one of my highlights, for this month's theme of celebrating women, because it's people like you, Mpumi, that actually, push the rest of us forward. Because when we look, ahead of us, we can see that already there are people that are actually leading, in transforming and actually being the change that we all hope to see in our society. And thank you so much. We celebrate you and we thank you so much as Radio 537. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.